Hey guys, Luton here, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to fire missiles, how to estimate range, and mainly we're going to be focusing on the dumbfire missiles. That's missiles which you don't lock on, non-locking missiles. I will cover the other missiles as well, just for the sake of it, but we will mainly be looking at kind of how to estimate range. So I've set up 3 targets. It's pretty straightforward. These are the kind of like reasonable, again, with all these kind of things, I try to operate down the kind of middle, the beginner, where you're going to be focusing on that kind of reasonable range. Now you can fire these missiles obviously longer, but I'm kind of focusing on the sort of 400, 500 meter maximum range of these things, right? So I've set up 3 targets across this hill, pretty straightforward. We'll talk about the range. Let's talk about the range. First of all, let's just get in here, okay? So how do you estimate range? How do you guess what's 100? How do you guess what's 200, 300, 400 when you're out and about? Like I say, it's one of those things that you do just kind of learn over time. It helps to carry a rangefinder with you if you want to check ranges at any time. Most of the time, if you're in a group, then it's mainly going to be your squad leader or squad assistant who's going to be calling that kind of stuff out. If you're in a recon group, you might have a spotter or something like this. But for your standard rifleman, really, it's one of those things that you do just pick up over time. But a kind of good rule of thumb, for me anyway, is that when you're kind of just standing like this idle, now of course this is not scientifically accurate or anything like this, when you're kind of standing idle, usually I would say the kind of rough sort of horizontal line of your barrel, so we're really looking at like sort of right here where this grass line is at, you're going to estimate that's within or around about 100 meters. So if we get our rangefinder and check that just towards the end here, yeah, look, see, it's about 100 meters, right thereabouts. So beyond that, that's where it gets more tricky, because you can kind of sort of, as I say, if you're holding your gun straight, I always sort of estimate, yeah, look, you can sort of see 100 meters, like probably where that grass line is running right along here to the fence, that's also going to be about 100 meters, right? But beyond that, how do you then estimate what's 200, 300, 400, right? Well, look, if you sort of draw that little line there between there to the truck, it's one of those things where you just kind of get your eye into it, okay? So between there and there, that's probably going to be like another 100 meters. But then it stays fairly standard beyond that point. So beyond that, like again, you can see the next truck is about the same again. That's probably going to be like another 100 meters. Now this truck over here is more difficult. It's way more difficult to estimate because he's up a hill. Okay, so you've got that to take into account, and also then you're trying to guesstimate. Now another way of doing this is looking at actually the size of the object. So again, if you're looking at something for a point of reference, and again, it's like I say, one of those things that you get used to over time, and this is why I'm using the same truck here and using the same angle for the truck, so it makes it easier for you to sort of compare and compensate the space and distance of these trucks. So look, you can see if this guy, we know he's probably going to be about 200 meters. Well, look, that guy has dropped down in size, maybe a third. You can see he's a little bit smaller. So again, we estimate, okay, that's about like another 100 meters. But then this guy up here, he doesn't look that much different. But he is a little bit smaller. So maybe it's more like a 75 meter difference, something like that. But that's a kind of very, very rough. That's how I am generally going to estimate those kind of things. So again, it's one of those things you learn over time. The size of a vehicle, the rough distance, you kind of just get a feel for it. And again, like many things with any game, but also with ARMA, it's one of those things where you just get used to it over time. From playing, you're just going to kind of estimate. The other thing to say about dumbfire missiles is that you're going to miss sometimes, okay? It's one of those, because a lot of the time you're actually in combat, things are happening, you don't perhaps have very long to check that target, and you're going to have to just estimate it and fire, and maybe you miss on the first shot. It's kind of like darts, it's like it's darts or snooker or something like this. You put the first shot in as a kind of a point of reference, as a sort of distance marker. Once you've got that one, then you know exactly where to get that second shot on. So sometimes that can be how you play it as well. If you're in a situation where you can afford to take a couple of shots, you get the first one in your best estimation, the second one goes in where you basically have used that first one as a point of reference. Hopefully that one is going to be on target. But that's assuming that you're actually in a situation which is, intense, maybe you're under a lot of pressure and you've got to take that shot. However, there are other situations where you're going to have more time to estimate your distance, and maybe you have someone with you who has got a rangefinder. So look, let's see how accurate I was with my estimations. So this one right here is actually coming in surprisingly actually right on 200, which is kind of like a bit of a fluke, I guess. But again, look, we can see, so look, there's our 100 meter at the grass line, truck's coming at 200. Now, what was the next one? I said it looks like about 75% whatever, so what's this guy coming in at? Yeah, so 337. So he's again about 130, so actually he's a little bit even further away. This one up here, now I said, again, looks about, I don't know, I said an extra 75. Actually, yeah, that's actually about right. You know, I said if you actually look at it, I said he doesn't look that much smaller. It's not going to be 100 meters difference. So if this one's coming in at 330, this one's coming in at 380, that's actually only 50 meter difference pretty much. And I think, what did I say? I think I said like 75. So it's not quite 400 up there on the hill. So we're going to go in reverse order. Let's start with the very base RPG. And of course, you've got to remember this is vanilla. Okay, so we're not using ACE or anything like this. Now, the RPG-7 rocket launcher, that takes the PG-7VM heat grenade. Okay, so that's the ammo that you're going to need for this weapon if you want to put some in your backpack. So let's just change up to the RPG. Now, the RPG does have the ability to zero, so you can adjust the zeroing on this, and you're going to be using your page up and page down key to do that. So you can see right here we're at 200, then we're at 300, then we're at 400, and you can see how that adjusts. So at 200 meters, where you're going to want to get is that little black node right in the middle there. You're going to want to get that basically, I don't know, middle of the target or just thereabouts. So let's lock that in and fire. Okay, and we're straight on there. Let's get another RPG. And again, to reload this, just drag it in. If you've got them in your backpack, you can just press R to reload. So the next one we know is about 330 or something like that. So basically, putting it at 300 is going to be absolutely fine. Again, try and get that sort of square on the target. It's good enough. Again, he was a little bit further away, wasn't he? So we can always just kind of lift the weapon up a little bit to compensate. But with an explosive weapon like this, providing you get it pretty square on or just within its vague vicinity, you're going to at least do some damage. Maybe take the wheels off or get a bit of a blast on it. Okay, now the next one, it wasn't quite 400, was it? But we're still going to put it up to 400. And providing there is a little bit of elevation on this as well. So I'm still going to aim kind of just about, or maybe even a little bit just over, sort of put that right on the top of the truck there. And let's hope this hits. Okay, there we go. Square on. Okay, so next up we're going to look at the RPG-42 element. This is the weapon commonly used by CSAT forces. It's got two rockets, the RPG-42, that's the anti-tank version, and the RPG-42 high explosive, which is a bit of a broader blast radius, but without that kind of heavy penetration you get with an AT. So let's just take the AT, actually let's take the missile first. Let's take the AT missile in there. Usually they have one kind of preloaded anyway. Now the RPG-42 has a slightly different system. It doesn't have zeroing at all like we had with the RPG, the standard. Okay, it's got the optic. And what you can see is basically going down the list, you've got 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you might imagine, those relates to 100 meters, 2, 300, 400, 500. So we know this was about 200 meters, so if I line that up with the 2 and fire away. Okay, we're straight on there. Let's reload. Okay, and we know our next one was about 300, so I'm going to line it up with the 3 and fire away. And we're straight on with that. And then the next one we know was just under 4, but with a little bit of that elevation. So again, surprisingly, we're going to go for roughly about the 4. There we go, straight on. It's as simple as that. Okay, so next we got the PCML rocket launcher. This is a launcher anti-tank used mainly by NATO forces. It's pretty straightforward. It uses these missiles. Let's get in on it. Now, the difference with the PCML is that, again, it doesn't have any zeroing, but that's because this is actually a locking missile system. I think people often forget that the compact launcher, the MPRL, is not the only locking system. Okay, but there are some differences. So, for example, with this one, let's just fire it. And again, if we fire this and try to move the rocket, so what basically I want to try and show this is not a fly-by-wire system. So if I fire and then move the camera, so I fire and move over here, okay, the rocket did not move at all. That's different to the MPRL because the MPRL you can actually fire with like a fly-by-wire, and where you move the camera it will actually go to. I'll show you that in a minute. First of all, let's reload this. Now with the PCML there is a reticule on the optic, but that's not really necessary because this is a locking missile system. However, if you're in that 100 and 200 meter sort of radius and you want to just fire straight in on a target without locking, if you time, if you're under pressure and you've just got to fire and get it away, you can do that. It's just going to go straight on target. Now, this is a locking system, so of course what we're going to do is use our lock button like you would have with any kind of locking missile, whether it's in vehicle or on the ground. My keybind for that is T, and it probably will be for you too. If not, feel free to change it up. Press T, and it will start to lock. It comes in, and then when it's got that solid lock there, the solid square with the dot in the middle, you're good to go. You fire the missile, it goes straight onto target. I'm going to skip out the middle target because it's not really necessary to show every single target on this one. Okay, so again, I'm just going to change up, press T on this target, aiming at it. Again, it will come in, target's locked, fire away. Okay, but I suppose what I can just show is that this is a fire and forget system. So basically, once that missile's locked in away, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You can just run. If you're under fire or under pressure, you get that locked. Right, so missile is locked. I'm going to fire, and then I'm just going to turn and run away. And look, I can see that hit right on target. Okay, next up we're going to look at the Titan MPRL Compact, not to be mistaken for the Titan MPRL, which I will come to in a minute. Okay, Titan MPRL Compact. This is basically the kind of ARMA vanilla javelin, basically. It's got two types of missile, Titan AT and Titan AP. Titan AP is not armor penetrating. I've said this many times. It is an anti-personnel round. It's basically like a high explosive round. Titan AT is the anti-tank missile, which is what we will take. Okay, now that's loaded up. Now with this system, okay, you can lock a missile, okay, like this. You don't even have to aim down the optic with this. You can just fire away like that. But what I want to show first is what I was talking about before. I'm actually going to lock off of that. What I want to show is about the fly-by-wire system. So basically, watch this, okay? Unlike the PCML, when you fire this and then move, see how the missile, yeah? So it's a fly-by-wire system. So once you fire the missile, you can move the camera and the missile will actually track where you're keeping the reticle, okay? However, this can actually be harder than you might think, okay? Because sometimes when you have a short-range target, it's got to fire and get on target. So I'm just going to try and dumb fire this at 200 meters. Now again, there is no elevation, okay? There's no range for that. So let's just fire at this. Let's see if we can get it. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to just hold it straight on the target. Let's see if we hit it. Okay, not bad. And this missile system is actually very different with ACE, which I'll show separately. Yeah, I'm going to lock on this target. So there we go. Just press T. Missile locks. Ready to fire. And again, this is a fire and forget system. There we are, it's away. I'm going to have to use AP on the last one. Now, I'm not going to try and lock this one, but I am going to just highlight, you know, okay, let's just start over here and see if we can't fire away and then get it over where we want it to be at. Now, there we go. See, missed. Because obviously the missile didn't have enough time to track onto the target. So let's see if we can't do this again. I'm going to try and fire over here and see if we can't... Whoa, okay. Maybe we didn't leave it long enough. Okay, let's try again. Let's fire over this way. And come on target. So imagine... I could give an illustration of this, but just imagine there's like a couple of walls or some trees or something that are kind of just about in front of me, but we still want to get it over there on that target. Well, what we can do is just aim up a bit, fire away, and then start to bring it down. Okay, and that's going to help it kind of get up and over. Now, lastly, we're going to take a look at the AA system, the Titan MPRL. Now, note the look and notice how different it is. Okay, now look, it looks sort of the same, but it is not the same. Okay, the thing to notice is that this missile, okay, the actual tube is hexagonal. It is not a square. Now, if we actually look in third person, see how it looks very different? Because sometimes on our missions we can use just RPGs, and then the Titan MPRL, just an AA system. This confused a lot of people because I think I did a public event and everyone was like, the missile systems are not working. Yeah, because it's an AA launcher, it's not designed for shooting at vehicles. Now, in order to actually illustrate this, I'm going to have to call in some kind of helicopter, which I'm going to use Zeus to do. Okay, so I've got an enemy helicopter in the air. I'm just going to tell it to basically come over this way, and then circle the airfield. Now, one of the issues with the AA system is that, as you see, when I lock on, and again, so just normal locking, same as with the Compact, fire away, they flare almost straight away. Now look, the only time you're actually going to get a hit, as I did there, is if you're straight on the target and it doesn't have an opportunity for the flares to affect it. If you try to fire side on, it's not going to happen. And again, look, if he's kind of coming right underneath us, we'll probably get on him here because we're firing into it without the flares. Right, so there we go, look. Bang, get on it. So that is how you're going to take them down. If you're going to fire straight onto them, basically. If you're firing, and I'll illustrate this again though. So let's just get another missile in first. Right, now I've told a helicopter to just fly over this area. What we're going to do is we're going to let it pass over, and I'm going to try and hit it in the rear. So here he comes. So we're going to wait for him to actually pass over. You'll see the difference straight away. Actually, this is probably good enough. So look, I can't get on him yet anyway because he's sort of too high and I won't have the right angle. But look, so trying to hit it on the side as opposed to the front like I did before. I have to wait until he's in line of sight. I can't angle up any more than this. Right, there he is. Right, lock on it. And then ready to fire. And now watch, flares away. Woo, there goes that missile. See how that was different? Let's try again. Or flying, he's just flying. Again, flare. There goes the missile. No problem at all. So you've got to wait for an opportunity where he's going to be square on, basically. Which may not happen, and it's probably a bit dangerous if it's an attack helicopter coming towards you, right? But it's the only way you're going to actually get on target. He's sort of coming my way now, actually. Let's see if we can't get this right. Wait for him to square up. Wait for him to square up. Now. Come on. Nope. There is a bit of an issue sometimes with height as well. Like if they're lower, obviously, it's shorter travel time, less opportunity for that missile to go away. Let's actually just try and highlight that. So again, let's do this at distance so it's got more opportunity to fly off. It's quite far away. See? Even though it had quite a distance to travel, it was still on target. Okay, now the helicopter is coming back again. Now look, he's quite a far distance here. I'm going to fire front on, quite a distance. Are we going to hit? No. See, we get a bit of deviation. Can I reload fast enough to actually get on it? Closer distance, front on. And again, deviated. So you can see it's pretty challenging to actually get a locking system on these guys. Whether it's front on or rear, or whether it's low or high, it's pretty challenging. So the AA system not necessarily always going to be the best for actually getting on target. Depending on what that helicopter is doing, you might have to make a judgment call on whether you're going to fire dumbfire missile at it, or if it's on the ground, if you're going to use the Titan MPRL Compact to wire guide it onto the target. Taking down enemy helicopters is actually pretty damn challenging. Having a useful CAS pilot is 1,000 times more appropriate and 1,000 times more effective. So in ARMA, choosing when to engage a target is usually going to be fairly critical. You're going to want to have some pretty good cover so that you have time to actually aim on your target. You don't want to be live in a firefight if you can help it. The other thing is, you don't really want to fire on a target like horizontally. Okay, so say there was a road coming along, you don't want to have to try and engage it horizontally, because then it's just making it way more difficult for yourself. When they're moving horizontally like that, the timing you have to get right is so difficult. Not only that, but you're making it way harder for yourself by trying to hit something on its side like that than if you're shooting top down or front on, where you're going to have a much easier time on estimating that. So we're here on this road, okay, where we're looking down over, basically this would be a great sort of ambush position. You could follow it in, you could either hit a truck in the rear, or if it's coming straight onto you, you could hit it like that. So let's bring something in. So we've just got a CSAT Ifrit coming up the road, and again with that distance, I'm probably going to estimate, you know, coming along this road right here, it's probably going to be about 200 to 300 coming down there, so I'm going to put it at 300. I'm going to try and hit this guy as he's coming. It's going at reasonable speed. And I'm going to try to get it square on as he comes up the road. Bang. Now that was a dead-on hit. Okay, so we're doing this again, but this time we're using the RPG-42. You can see our little Ifrit coming up the road here. And this is a much more kind of realistic sort of situation that you'd actually engage in. And often you have a good opportunity to actually get onto your targets. You know, you have time to recon, work out their routes, and try and figure out where you're going to come in on. Right, stand by to fire. Let's go for this right now. Okay, right, bang on target. I probably could have lowered the reticule down a little bit there, but we're aiming in at about that 200, and you can see it was straight on target. Okay, now we got the PCML, and this should be even easier, because obviously this thing is just going to lock straight on for us. Here comes the Ifrit, standing by, locking on him. Lock is on, fire. Bang, and there you go, you can see. Notice though, the PCML only disabled that Ifrit. It didn't destroy it like the RPG-42 did, and actually the RPG, the standard one, also disabled it. So you got to make sure, even though that hit was straight on, this thing, it's not a particularly powerful missile. Right, and now we've got the Titan MPRL. Now, of course, part of that issue with the weapon power is down to the type of missile you're firing. So if it's an AT, it's going to do a hell of a lot more damage versus a vehicle. If it's not, or it's not really designed, or it's general purpose, then that's going to be different again. Right, ready to lock on with this system, and I'm actually going to fire this one in a little while. Now look, notice when this thing goes out of line of sight, see how it gets like a hashed line? So it's still kind of on target, but it's not really. Right, now again, look, see, I can't actually lock on this guy right here, because he's sort of out of my line of sight, right? So this is the difference with the locking. You can't just always fire. Now as he's coming into view here, do we get a lock on? Lock on. See, look, no lock on, so I'm going to have to dumb fire it away. Straight on target. So sometimes you can't get that lock. I could lock him when he was over there, but once he got closer and with those trees in the way, I couldn't fire it. But as you can see, you can just wire it in there straight onto the target. Now for the sake of illustrating it, down here guarding this airbase, we've got another enemy vehicle. We can see him right down there, look. Okay, there's a Kamish down there. And it's probably going to be too far to fly by wire. You could fly by wire it, but you'd have to get probably prone, which you can't do if you want to be stable enough, okay? Because if I'm sitting here with this and I want to fly by wire it, you can see how much the camera is just moving around by default. I'm not even touching it. My guy's not out of breath. It's moving around. Now, let's see if we can fly by wire onto it. Why would you, obviously, but we're going to try nonetheless. I'm going to wait to take my breath until we're actually on it. Now, once it settles down, you can kind of compensate it a bit, but let's just fire away on this. Okay, so you did manage to fly by wire onto the missile there, okay? There we are. So he did go down. We did get onto it. Okay, so now we're going to use the locking system on this instead. And again, very straightforward. Pressing T to lock. Stand by to fire. Off he goes. Missile goes away. And again, look, I don't have to worry once the missile is actually away. It's bang on target. Let's take a look now at the actual power of the missiles and what they can take down. Okay, so next up we've got our damage test, and I've put down a few vehicles here. They're about roughly 200 meters away. I haven't put down like a basic car or anything, because you can imagine that's going to do a lot of damage to that. And we've got basically, in turn, we've got a transport vehicle here, we've got a truck, we've got a standard light technical, so just got an Ifrit. We've got some APCs, so we've got a Merid with wheels, and then we've got a tracked APC, the Kamish, and then we've got the heavy, the T100. So let's start out with the RPG on the truck. Okay, fully destroyed the truck. RPG 7 on the Ifrit. Okay, damaged, not destroyed. The Merid. And I'm hitting it kind of on a side angle there. Again, damaged, not destroyed. Now we can assume that the heavies are not going to be also destroyed in one hit. So let's see if the Ifrit gets down in 2. Yep, it's gone in 2. Let's look at the Merid in 2. Merid's still not gone in 2 hits. So let's look at the Merid on 3 RPG hits. So it's taking 3 RPG hits to take that down. Kamish in 1. And Kamish in 2. So again, you can estimate it's going to be 3, 4 to take down the Kamish, and then a lot more for the T100. I'm out of ammo for these, so I'm not even going to fire. I mean, if I'm out of ammo shooting at these things whilst I've got the storage box next to me, you can get 5 rounds in your backpack. But let's just see whether we can take down the T100 with all the RPG rounds. Right, I've now got as much ammo as I can carry for the RPG. Let's see if we can take down the T100 with that much ammo. So, 1 round on it. 2, 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6 and I'm out of ammo, 7, So that's 8 rounds on that T100. And you can see the T100 has still only taken about 75% damage there, which is totally insane. So for something like the T100, I would say RPG-7, don't even bother. If it's a light technical or a truck, definitely go for it. 2 rounds, it's gone. If it's an APC, if you've really got to make sure that thing's gone, then, you know, 3, 4, maybe a bit more rounds, depending on how you're hitting it, it's going to go. Okay, next up in our shootout, we've got the RPG-42. So, versus a light truck, let's see what we do. It's gone in 1 hit versus an Ifrit. Gone in 1 hit. The APC. Damaged, again not destroyed. Second round on that. Gone in 2 hits on the APC. And I'm out of ammo. Let's try the Kamish. I looked a little bit short actually. So that's 2 or 3 rounds depending on how short I was on that first hit. Oh no, he's gone. He's gone on 3 maybe there. Right, now I don't think the T100 is going to go in 3, but let's see what we get on it. Let's see how much damage we did to the T100. And again, we actually did less than all of those RPGs, but obviously we put far less rounds in it. But you can see, again, the T100, it takes a hell of a lot to take this thing down. Okay, next up, the PCML. This is the locking, more lightweight missile system for NATO. Okay, so versus the truck, I'm going to lock on every single one here just to make sure I'm getting it bang on. Okay, truck has gone in 1. Now with the Ifrit previously, it didn't take it out in 1. Let's see what happens this time. And again, yeah, you can see this is a much more lightweight system because a hit straight on that thing only disabled it. Second round should kill it. He's gone on the second round. Okay. APC, how much is it going to take down the APCs? The Marid, I am estimating at least 4 probably on this. Okay, first round is just damage. I'm going to need to get more ammo. Okay, so 1 round into the Marid. Let's get another one. So second round going in. Damn, surprisingly, actually killed the APC in 2. So about the same amount of time as the Ifrit. That's actually kind of surprising. Okay, Kamish. Will it take only 2 rounds as well? Round 1. Round 2. No, see, and again, this is interesting. Second round didn't kill it. Third round. So 3 for the Kamish. So the Kamish is slightly heavier armoured than the Marid, it would appear. Okay, next up the T100. Let's see how many this takes. So, round 1. Round 2. Round 3. You can actually get these rounds out pretty fast on this thing. Round 4. Round 5 away. Round 6 going in. Round 7 going in. Eight. Okay, it goes on 8. So 8 PCML rounds will disable and destroy the T100. A hell of a lot of rounds getting there. Okay, what can we do with the MPRL? Okay, Titan MPRL. the locking system versus the truck right here. Unsurprisingly, a one-hit kill. Versus the Ifrit. Unsurprisingly, a one-hit kill. Versus the Marid. A one-hit kill again. Versus the Kamish. Not a one-hit kill. Second round. Amazing, not even a kill with the second round. Okay, third round on the Kamish. Oh, no, there he goes. Sometimes they're so close on that line, they'll just hold on for a second, then they're going to go. Right, on the T100. Round 1 out. Remember, it took 8 on the PCML for this. Round 2 out. Round 3 out. There we go. Only 3 rounds with the Titan MPRL to take that thing down. Nonetheless, still quite a lot of missiles. So the best you can do on that T100 is the Titan MPRL, basically the ARMA's vanilla javelin, to take down those really, really heavy tanks. So there we go, guys. That's the damage test using the missile systems available to you in vanilla. Okay, something that I thought was worth mentioning is that when you're using ACE, that's a mod for ARMA, which of course many people use, ACE is very, very different when it comes to firing the locking missile systems than vanilla. Okay, for starters, it doesn't have a fly-by-wire system for something like the Titan. It doesn't matter whether you find a Titan or Javelin, it kind of works basically the same. So I've got the Titan MPRL right here, okay. Now, previously, we could just lock a target right here. Well, I'm pressing T, and you say nothing is happening. Okay, similarly, I can't just fire the missile. If I want to fire the missile dumb, like with a fly-by-wire system like we were doing before, can't do it. Okay, similarly, I can't even lock a target right now. In pressing T, locking doesn't happen. Okay, now another thing to note is, you see on the right-hand side, the green circle that says top? Well, if you hold left control and then press tab, that'll change to direct. Is also obviously changing my voice volume. If you switch between those, okay, it's going to be changing whether it's firing top-down or directional. And top-down, basically when you fire something top-down, it's going to fly up and it's going to come down on the target. It's useful if you're trying to evade or if you want to kind of hit straight onto something. If you're firing direct, it's just going to fly direct as it ordinarily would. So we'll just stick with that for now. Now, in order to actually lock the target, first thing you're going to have to do is actually change to thermal, which you're going to press N to change to thermal vision mode. And again, it's got 2 thermal variants. So let's just go with the first one. Then in order to lock, we actually have to zoom in. So you're going to press plus on your number pad. So you're zoomed in on what it is you want to hit. Then you're not going to press T to lock. You're actually going to hold tab. You can actually hold it as well, not just press it once. So you're going to hold tab. Then you go into this locking system. And when it's like that, when it says seek and it's going beep, 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 you fire using the left mouse. And then you can follow onto the target. Okay, target is gone. So we're looking around for a target. We see, oh hey, there's an Ifrit over there. Okay, first things we're going to do, we're going to zoom in on it. Then we're going to press to thermal mode. Then we're going to hold tab to start locking it. Then once we've got the solid lock, fire. And again, fire and forget that missile. Just going straight onto the target. That's it. That's all you need to know about how to fire a locking missile like this with ACE. Thanks for watching this guide today, guys. If you enjoyed, please drop a like, as always helps me out, and tell me down in the comments what you would like me to cover next for the next beginner's guide to ARMA. This is probably a series I'm going to continue beyond ARMA, but for now, there's plenty of knowledge out there that people still want to know. So tell me down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.